Want to know which fiction book categories on Amazon have had a 50% sales rank increase in the last 18 months? Well, hang on for that information, along with a look at the trends in the high-selling genres such as romance, mystery, thriller and suspense, science fiction and fantasy, and teen and YA. Plus, the surprising subgenre that has had a 157% jump in the average sales rank in the last year. Hello writers in training, I'm Shannon, self-publishing under the pen name SC Houston, and welcome to my channel, where I offer writers like you ways to develop your writing skills and self-publish your work, with regular training episodes. Currently, I've been putting out videos every week, but I'm changing that to every 2 weeks as I ramp up the launching of my debut novel. So be sure to hit that red subscribe button down below so you won't miss out on the next episode. I talked about whether or not you should write to trends or market in my first episode of my series, How to Write a Fiction Book. If you actually want readers to pick up your books and pay you royalties, you have to write something that sells, which means at least taking a look at what's happening in the market. Most of the information I'm discussing today is from K-Lytics. K-Lytics, a provider of ebook market data, is a company which has by far the best and most comprehensive resources for discovering new genres and researching potential markets. CEO and founder Alex Newton creates in-depth and analytical data based on numbers combed from Amazon. This information is incredibly useful for self-published authors. I will also discuss the similarities or differences that overlap with some of these categories based on Alexa Dunn's opinions, insights, and information. Alexa Dunn is a traditionally published YA fantasy, science fiction, and thriller author who released a recent video on her channel, Why Querying and Submission is So Slow Right Now. According to Alex Newton's new Amazon Market Research Reports published in July of 2021, romance, mystery, thriller, and suspense, science fiction and fantasy, and teen and young adult have had a strong rise in sales rank, increasing by more than 50%. Romance sales have continued to rise even as ebook prices have increased to about $4.25 to $4.50 on average, when that average had been around the $3 mark a few years ago. Alexa Dunn notes that romance is doing well, specifically rom-coms with a light escapist tones, which are still definitely selling. But the subgenre is slowly saturating. In the next big genre, mystery, thriller, and suspense, one hot niche or trend subgenre is for occult suspense, which increased in sales rank up to 131%. Alex Newton identifies this as a hot niche because it is a high-selling category with a high sales rank. If you take a look at the bestsellers list on Amazon under occult suspense, you'll see a wide variety of titles that include paranormal, urban fantasy, ghost, paranormal, and thrillers. Alexa Dunn supports the booming market for thrillers, but says it is hard to write a fresh and original story, and she believes the market is headed towards saturation. Dark academia seems to be a hot trend and subgenre here in the traditional publishing industry, but she doesn't recommend starting a book now as she believes that the trend will fade in about a year. However, if you plan to self-publish, you could possibly jump on this trend right now if you can write fast enough and get it to market. Science fiction and fantasy continues to grow in sales rank even with a decrease in prices. The decrease came after the category lost sales rank last year at the beginning of the lockdown. However, now the ebook prices trend around $5.50. Hard science fiction genre is making a comeback after it had fallen in sales rank around 2017. However, what has changed in this overall category since my episode about writing to trends is that science fiction, dystopian, and post-apocalyptic is now declining. Alexa Dunn has not seen a change in the science fiction landscape, but she believes a fresh approach could possibly trend and have a good moment in the market. In the next genre, teen and young adult, there was a dip last year fall, but it's performing strongly now. One subgenre that is trending right now is paranormal and urban fantasy, which has had a 98% increase in sales rank with less than 20,000 titles on Amazon, which is much smaller compared to other Kindle genres. making it a very strong category. With that said, Alexa Dunn supports some rumblings from the industry that now is not the time to write YA fantasy because the market is saturated. However, she notes that it still sells. Agents just may not be taking on new authors in this genre. She also adds that paranormal and urban fantasy are the subgenres that seem to be more successful, and thrillers are on the rise. And sometimes horrors are classified as thrillers, which Alexa disagrees with. However, teen and young adult horror is a hot niche according to the K-Lytics reports. Besides those four with increasing sales ranks, one subgenre has become a hot trend as a competitive bestseller, and that's literary fiction. This is evident when you see that some of these titles, like The Four Winds by Christian Hanna and Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, have the #1 and #2 spot respectively on Goodreads' most popular books published in 2021 list. Before I reveal the subgenre that rose drastically in the average sales rank in the last year, if you're finding this content valuable, please work out that like button. Now for the surprising information. Which subgenre has jumped 157% in the average sales rank in the last 12 months? Fantasy romance. Alexa Dunn says that writers who are struggling with making something more commercial can never go wrong dialing up the romance. So maybe the decline she sees in YA fantasy can be helped by adding romance, like how the category of fantasy romance has seen such a huge increase. In fact, the K-Lytics report labels teen and young adult romance as a hot trend. Do you write in any of these genres or subgenres? Do any of these interest you? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today, and happy writing!